And according to that, I am now live. And so, welcome. This is Tokyo Tonight with Hikosaemon. Hope you're all doing well. I'm going to increase the volume a little bit. See if that helps a bit. Yes. My sound is going all the way up, so good to see you all. Boom. And how you doing? So, let me go back into my main graphics. Let's try to sit in the right place. Over here, I guess. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. It's been a crazy week. I've got an early start tomorrow, so I'm going to try to keep it a little bit short today, but lots of cool stuff to talk about. Well, good to see a good crowd. I'm sorry I didn't get very much of a chance to set this up very well tonight. I actually just updated the Flipboard magazine about half an hour ago. I've had a busy couple of weeks, which means I haven't been updating the news stories the way that I intended to. Oh, I usually turn on a light there, and it's not on. Well, that's okay. You get some Hiko shine. It's like a thing. I've become comfortable with that phrase. Oh, one thing, perhaps before we even begin, it's been an awesome. I mean, some of the things which have been coming in lately for the 2.5 Oyajis, like fan art stuff. If you're following my Facebook, you probably already know about this. This guy did this awesome thing. In fact, let me see if I can enlarge this and show it to you right now. It's kind of Grand Theft Auto style. Well, one thing, I'm hearing my sound back on my headphones, so let me come back and pause that, save myself some bandwidth. Boom, mute that. Ooh, not that. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So let me come back here. So I guess I can already show this. The best way to show this. Well, anyway, I'll just come and sit over here and go like this. Boom. This is really cool, like Grand Theft Auto style. This is like my favorite one. This is actually totally what I want to get a t-shirt of. Is this not like totally awesome? There's been a few really awesome designs like this one, and just like cartoon art. People are really getting into it. This is like, yeah, cool. So there's so many cool things that are coming. We're nearly at the target for the shirts. We are going to actually make some of the one-offs of the other shirts as well for the people who won the prizes for them. People, by the way, as well, I know are asking about the Dave Powell shirts and books. Apparently, I contacted him this week. The shirts are about to be printed. They should be going out in about a week from now. And the book as well is now also finally in the printing stage, so people should start seeing the Shoot Tokyo books come out pretty soon. Lots of creative people out there, and this is just so awesome. I love this. So yeah, lots of cool stuff this week. Let's get into the comments, which are here. Boom. Let's go here, shall we? Go up to the first comment, and with Raz at the start, as is often the case. By the way, this is my shirt from Malaysia. I got another one of these. This is like a DJ Bruce Lee. It's pretty awesome. Boom. Anyway, let's cut over into comments. So it's getting warmed up. Razo, good. Let the games begin. Indeed. Hey Travis Mo, good to see you. Who else we got? We got Kantensai Konbanwa, Niobera, Ohio. So you must be in America or Canada or something like that. Chris, hey everyone, hey go. Alice Genki Odoros, that's guten Tag. Yes, hello Germany, good to see you, Chris. Charlie Brown, g'day from down under, from Australia, indeed, from Brisbane. Charlie Brown AU. How's Japan going with the Commonwealth Games? Apparently Australia is getting a truck load of medals, but you hear that it is a heat wave in Japan this weekend. Charlie Brown, maybe you're not aware, England didn't actually conquer Japan, and Japan is not actually a member of the Commonwealth as a result. For those of you who don't know, the Commonwealth Games is the otherwise known as the Empire Games. It's like it's a smaller version of the Olympics. It's held every 4 years, alternately, in the 2 years out from the Olympics, and it's basically made up of all the members of the former British Empire, excluding America. I mean, technically, I guess America would qualify because it used to be a British colony, but I guess they sit out. And all the better too, because otherwise they'd take all the medals. So it's basically like the Olympics, except without like the Soviet bloc states, without most of the other European countries, and without the United States, and indeed without countries like Korea and Thailand and Japan that weren't colonized, at least by the British. And yeah, it's about a third of the world's countries. And New Zealand tends to do better there, of course, in the Olympics, so we always get very into it, as do the Australians, who clean up because they're so strong. I mean, they're strong in the Olympics, let alone give them the Commonwealth Games. But no, we don't hear anything about it here because it's not really relevant to Japan. The heat wave in Japan has been crazy for the last week. It's been 35 plus, and I know that 35 is hot, but it's, by Australian standards, it's not like crazy hot, but it's different here to in Australia. In Australia, and I know even Brisbane gets humid, but it's a different type of humidity. There's no breeze. The only breeze that you get is the hot air that actually, it's like the ground gets so heated, it generates hot air, heat off the ground. And it's actually true. In Brisbane, if you go around in summer in 40 degrees and you walk around, and no one walks around, right, because it's the concrete makes everything so hot. Well, in Tokyo, nobody has cars. Everyone has to walk everywhere and use trains everywhere, so you're outside. And it's just been like a sauna for the last few days. It's been overnight lows of above 25 and 35. I think we had 37 the other day. It's supposed to cool down a bit to 32, but I was out today at Makahari at Costco, and it was pretty hot. So indeed, we've had a very hot week. Thank you for asking. NeoBear 66 is gloomy in California. Really? Is this the same California that, like, from LA Story, California? I didn't think it was ever gloomy there. I thought that was kind of Seattle and Washington State. I'm very sorry to hear that. Charlie Brown IU is asking me if I heard of this new J-Vlog YouTuber, Japan JD. No, I have not. Shall we go check the dude out? Japan JD. That's cool. There we go, JD Archer. This guy. Who is this guy? There he is. This is his intro thing. Cicadas, bats. Holy crap, it's hot, which indeed it is. Missed grape test. You know what? I do. I subscribe to this guy because I saw the missed grape test in my feed the other day. Well, I think I subscribe. Let's have a look. I don't want to be proven a liar. Oh no, I don't subscribe. Well, I subscribe now. Boom. For some reason I saw that on my Twitter thing, maybe my Flipboard. I did not, but go and check him out. New J-Vlog vlogger, JD Japan, or Japan, oh, sorry, what was that? Japan JD, yes indeed. Indeed, all the technical stuff. So, I'm going to get to this. Kantensai, hai, Masuzoe-kun, Nonomura 議員みたいな大胆な戦略で外交にも体当たりしたらいいよ。日本を変えたい笑い。そうだね。I'm going to get to this. The Tokyo governor. And I feel this temptation to kind of troll a little bit when I talk about this because I wasn't for him being governor, but in the end of the day, he's proving not to be quite as bad as everyone expected. He is the first, probably most significant Japanese politician to meet with the Korean president who's got this current embargo on doing anything, talking to Japan or anything like that. And, which is completely stupid. And it's nice that he has gotten through. I'm just going to straighten out. I like those colors there. And I'll put my head here. It's nice that he's gotten through and he's gotten to talk to them and so on a state to state or a city to city. Tokyo to Seoul visit recently, but yes, it's caused some befuddlement, particularly with members of the right wing establishment who are still sore that Tamogami didn't get in. And I'll get to that. But yes, fun and games ahead indeed. はい、確かにちょっと最近笑えたこといろいろ。December clouds, you made it just in time. You did indeed. Beautiful day in Toronto. Good to see that. Good to hear that, Robert, 1967 Canada. Ra's al Ghul. Is it a Bruce Lee shirt? Indeed it is. He's a DJ. I'm kind of a DJ. I don't really DJ anymore. I used to be. Oh, jeez. I'm obviously not. Got my SLs behind me, that's all good, but that's yes, it's a cool shirt anyway. I quite like that, so I thought I'd wear that tonight, although I can't quite get it in the shot. I need to get like a higher angle, more of a crotch shot, but yes. Doesn't really work, does it? Or maybe it does if that's your thing. So anyway, what else we got here? Bruce Lee shirts are awesome indeed. This picture, yes, diehards. I get that. I actually prefer Statham, but yes, I'll take Bruce Willis as well. I remember when he was on Moonlighting with Cheryl Streep, like 100 years ago, and he had hair. He had hair once. He really did. Kantensai also asking, does anyone go to McDonald's in Japan after this mess? You have not made sure whether they still have nuggets on the menu or not. Nobody eats them. Well, I never ate the nuggets in the first place. Another story that I'm going to get to. Indeed. So the nuggets have been found to be that the Chinese supplier has been found like reusing expired materials and meat in the nuggets that have been supplied not just to McDonald's but also to Family Mart and a bunch of other places. Everyone always kind of jokes about, no one's quite sure what's in the nuggets, and well, now we know. Now they're banned in Japan, and McDonald's has taken chicken nuggets off the menu. Big scandal, which I'm going to go and explain a bit later, but yeah. Travis Moore, sweet as indeed dude. Indeed, this is the screen thing. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And Chris, indeed, it looks like a detective thing, right? I still think this is epic. There it is. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, it's awesome. Come out, little man. LOL. I guess if I'm going to refresh this, I'm going to get more comments all of a sudden. I just wish this would just like refresh like normal. But it never does it? Because that's not how these things work, unfortunately. What do you think? I'm going to hit refresh. Oh, there it goes. Oh, that's why the nuggets were just 100 yen last year. No, this is actually wheat news from this week. And maybe that's what I'll do. I'll jump into the news next, because it looks like either the comments are not updating. Oh, Corey Sloan, good to see you. Indeed, and thank you for joining. Hey, Willie Shinobi, 84, as my man in Costa Rica. Buenos dias. Sí, hace mucho tiempo. It's been a long time, indeed. ¿Qué tal? Russell-san, oh, okay, it looks like it did update all of a sudden. Yeah, the GTA Vice City drawing was awesome. Yeah, I was kind of blown away by it. I think it's pretty cool. And with that, I think I'm caught up. So with that, I am going to come and talk about my video topics, which as usual, I just went actually just 20 minutes before this video started, and I went and put them all in. There they go. I went and updated all of my Flipboard magazines, and for those of you who don't know, I've got a bunch of them. Maybe let's switch over and show them. Oh, in fact, this can be updated now. So let me just update that. So this is my Hikosaemon. This has everything that I recommend, and this is all taken basically from what I've tweeted from my Twitter feed in the last week. I look at it basically on Saturday or Sunday, and I look at all the stuff, and I think, well, I tweet a lot of just crap and random stuff, and I look at the stuff that I think, well, what is stuff I'd really, at the end of the week, having tweeted all the stuff a long time ago, what stuff I recommend for people to read that I think was actually worth reminding people one more time at the end of the week. Everything I retweet, I put into this Hikosaemon. This just has everything: tech news, Japan news, Japanese language stuff, my own content, all that sort of stuff. But it's all in one big bucket. Everything goes in here. But I put it in two places. One, this big bucket, and the other place is into my other magazines, which I have. One of these is Hikosaemon in Japanese. There's Mr. Masuzoe, the governor of Tokyo, meeting the president of Korea, which I'm about to get to. Another one that I put together is just articles of just pure reading about Japan. This is the Godzilla from Tokyo Midtown. That's pretty awesome. And a lot of people subscribe to that. Maybe that's the most popular one, but for me, I mean, it's not just Japan. I quite like things like, for example, cool stuff on YouTube and latest kind of tech and science news. I'll put a bunch of stuff together here, things like, for example, latest astronomy news, huge telescopes, the US military's plans to put bases on the moon. I thought was kind of awesome. Weird Al Yankovic, who's had a fantastic week, his first ever #1 album. Go Weird Al Yankovic. He's like, he's done some really, really awesome things before, and it looks like he really figured out how to use the web to market the 8 videos in 8 days thing. It did actually go totally viral, and he was very smart how he marketed that, and great credit to him, because he deserves it. And my own content, I've got a magazine just of my own stuff. If you want to catch all my awesome Instagrams and my photos and videos and blogs. Not that I've done so many blogs lately, but I want to do more blogs and so on. It's all in here anyway. And what I tweet, what I use for these videos is my video topics. Boom, which are here. And I actually picked out, I always try to pick like only 4, 5 or 6, but there were a few topics this week, so I am going to come back and try to cover those as soon as possible. I'm not going to do the 5-minute structure because I just haven't had time to do those cutout videos lately. Oh, and indeed, I'm going to come back to the comments actually for a minute, because I see Jason there and he's got a good point. Have we talked about sumo yet? Which we have not. So let's come back a little bit. So bada bing, bada bing. Indeed, the Nuggets. Scott Manga, hey, Scott from Arizona. You see that the live stream, you can see it. That's awesome. You had to wait to the upload last time. Anyway, I rock. Thank you very much. Nice of you to say. That's very kind. Sybil Shepherd, not Meryl Streep. God, okay, Russ, I'm getting old. Well, this is it. You have to be like half senile and losing your memory to remember having watched Moonlighting now. That's right, 1984. I was living in Australia, so it was 1984. I know the years when I was growing up because I lived in a different country for every year. Oh, J Demon, you finally made one. Woot, awesome. Yes, Charlie Brown AU. Ustream comment system works a lot better with the live comments always update. Yeah, I know Ustream does, but then nobody watches Ustream, and I have trouble getting into Ustream myself. I want to do it on YouTube, but I just want YouTube to be better. Be better, please. Chris mentions as well, and this is also something I guess Charlie Brown AU should pay attention to, is that because Google's bought Twitch TV for $1 billion, they can now implement indeed updated live stream options like a decent chat, which is all made for gaming, which is of course what Charlie Brown AU does all the time. He makes pretty good gaming videos. People should go and check those out, actually. You know, and they're a huge genre, and that reflects the $1 billion value that Google put onto them when they acquired Twitch TV. Jason talking about sumo. Indeed, the Senshuraku today. I was out and about today, so I only saw the final matches on the news, and as usual, you know, Hakuho did the business, but really good to see Go Eido qualify for beating Koto Shogeku and getting in to become a definite Ozeki now. And I actually think out of all the Japanese guys at the moment, like was it Koto Shogeku and Kiseno Sato and so on, I actually think Go Eido's to me the most interesting and exciting Japanese wrestler. I'd rather, if anyone's going to contend now from Ozeki for Yokozuna, I really hope it's him. Even though he's a bit of a Yankee, but a lot of the good Japanese sumo wrestlers kind of are, frankly. They're kind of, I mean, people from good backgrounds don't do sumo anymore because it's such a tough life. Raz is asking, where's Ahmed? I don't know. Ahmed, where are you? I hope you're okay. I hope everything is well in Algeria. It must be hot there. I guess it's always hot there, but I don't know. I don't know where he is, but I hope you're okay wherever you are. Really, Shinobi 84, you're in Nishinomiya right now, though. Okay, sweet, you're in Japan. Well, that's pretty awesome. I wonder if you're doing any video projects. What are you doing in Japan? Just traveling? Good to see that you're here. Nightswork Japan, hello indeed. Oh, and by the way, I met someone actually very recently. Actually, I think there may be a video going up very soon. We shot a video kind of recently. I'm not going to say anything more about it, but it's going to be kind of cool anyway. I met an old friend that I haven't featured within a video for a long time. I wonder if any of you could guess who it might be. But anyway, video's going to go up very soon. I'm going to keep it quiet. Maybe that's a hint. But yes, indeed. Neil Bearer, oh wait a minute, yes indeed. Neil Bearer, everyone's asking me, am I going to watch Godzilla? Yeah, I want to watch Godzilla, partly just because I'm a huge Bryan Cranston fan. I'm not sure I'd watch it if he wasn't in it, actually, because there's been so many Godzilla films, and I don't know, they're generally a bit below average for me. But I'm going to watch the next one. Maybe I'll regret it, but the trailers look pretty sweet, don't they? They look pretty awesome. Oh, and the new trailer for, not even a trailer, it was the J.J. Abrams doing the competition thing in front of like the new X-Wing type fighter thing for the new Star Wars movies. Please, well, no, J.J. Abrams will not do another Phantom Menace. We know that won't happen again. So I'm hopeful. I don't want to hope too much. You know, I don't want to be let down. But it looks pretty awesome as well. The new Star Wars movies. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'll wait years for that, just like I waited for Phantom Menace. And it'll be good this time. I hope it'll be good. I don't care. Just put Ewoks in it. Do anything. Just make anything better. No Jar Jar. Don't bring back Jar Jar. So apparently, Godzilla opened in Japan last Friday. You went and saw it opening night. Well, Jason, how was it? Have you done a review of it? Is there a review on your channel? Because if there is, I'll tell everyone to go and check it out. Well, if not, just if you got a quick review, put it down in the comments. Do you recommend it? Was it pretty good? Neo Bear is asking, how was the reaction from the Japanese audience on Godzilla? And indeed, as everyone should know, I mean, Jason's videos about sumo are indeed the bee's knees. Hey, Ramzi Berabia, good to see you. You'll be visiting Japan in September. Awesome. Yes, if you're coming to Japan in September, I will be in Japan in September. Tokyo sucks in September, by the way. It's too hot. But if you're coming to Tokyo, I have trouble with nights. Family dude now, but lunches. Contact me, message me, tweet me, email me, message me on YouTube, whatever. And yeah, always cool to meet people I am familiar with and used to interacting with on YouTube. Always cool to go out and hang out. So definitely contact me if you're coming to Japan, and let's hang out, dude. Sounds good. Jason also mentioning, indeed, that Japanese audiences never react, not only while they watch a movie, but even when that movie is finished, they just sit there motionless, like stunned through the entire credits. It's like getting up and walking out during the credits. It makes it feel like you're walking out during the climax of the movie. Everyone is so like fixated that you're supposed to watch all the way to the end. It's kind of nice, but it's a bit weird. Scott Nanger, Moonlighting, where Bruce Willis could still act. Well, yeah, I guess he had to prove himself in those days. He doesn't really have to do that anymore. Indeed, and I agree with you, Jason's Sumo channel, that Goedo is cool. Okay, let's get into the news topics. I'm supposed to go to sleep early tonight. We're 23 minutes in. 23 minutes. Well, technically we're 20 minutes and 39 seconds in because I was fluffing around for the first 30 seconds. And you never know when this will all technically just go to hell because it happens. So let's get into the video topics, which are... I went and selected 20 minutes before the video. Do we have time to do them? I certainly hope so. Let's jump in. I'll do a little bit of a Japanese thing if it works. So these are my video topics. Most interesting news of the last week. Boom. First thing I'm going to talk about, and this kind of is in reverse order, so this is the newest ones that are coming first from this. In fact, you know what? I'm going to go and do the opposite. I'm going to go to the oldest ones first. Let's do this in chronological order. Okay, these are from last week, although I never actually got to talk about the subjects last week. That's another good point, isn't it? I never actually managed to do these. But we're talking about this week. I'm not going to talk about 2-week-old news. There's some good stuff there from last week that I picked out, though, including a method for learning language that ensures that you'll never forget, which I can kind of verify. And now that I mention it, I think I talked about that briefly. So first thing, this is from Gaijin Pot. They did a top 5 Conbini countdown, and they ranked what they thought the best 5 Conbinis were. And I've accused Gaijin Pod of this before, and I'm going to say it again. It's a good topic, and it's clickbait, and I think you're trolling. I think you deliberately put a controversial list in order to get me to talk about it, and hence promote the article more. And I'm accepting that I may be trolled, but let's go through it. So the list is, that, as Gaijin Pot says, number 5 is New Days, which is the convenience store found commonly inside subway stations. Also in fact, is it subway stations or is it JR? But anyway, in train stations. I think it might be JR actually. In fact, I'm sure they'll say it here. They have a monopoly on train stations because they are owned by train stations. So maybe they're not well argued that way. They're complete crap as convenies go. They're basically just like kiosks with enclosed rooms. They don't have very much stuff, but they are convenient indeed. Mini Stop, that's an interesting one as well. I wouldn't really consider Mini Stop one that's rankable. I think they're owned by, and this is just a rumor and an assessment based on where it is. I think it's owned by and based on its colors as well, it's probably owned by the large Buddhist organization that's in politics and business and everything in Japan, SG. Lovely people. Some of my best friends are SG. That's all good, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of crap. There's nothing really there that I really like. It's kind of nice and handy to have, but there's nothing particularly there that I have to go to Mini Stop to get that. Number 3, again, you guys, Gaijin Pot, you're trolling. 7-Eleven is number 3. 7-Eleven for me is number 1. They just always have the best stuff. I don't know how it gets to be number 3. I see, and they have Conbini points and inconbini points. I just realized this. So the good points of New Days are that it's well set up, and the bad points are that they're so small. Well, indeed, I mean, because they're just kiosks. So with Mini Stop, the good points are they have great ice cream, kitchen and seating area, which they often do, although other convenience stores have that as well. It just depends on what's close to you, if they have a big one or not. Inconbini points, you end up eating way too much ice cream. I've never ate too much ice cream at Mini Stop. That's just me, maybe. That's how I roll. With 7-Eleven, the 24-hour ATMs and the great selection of fresh food, and indeed they do have great ATMs and good food selection. And again, they still are talking about the inconvenience points that the inconvenience points is that the 24-hour ATMs may allow you to withdraw money no matter what state you're in. Well, that's fine. So the Lawson is number 2. I'd probably put Lawson at number 2. Yeah, lately I'm going to a lot of Family Mart. I'd put 2 or 3. But indeed, Lawson are very, very widely spread, and they've got Loppy, which is a great way to buy concert tickets and stuff like that. And yeah, they're a little bit pricey, but they've got things for me. They've got things which I would go there to buy. I'd be a little bit careful with chicken lately, but they've got like the little chicken kind of nuggets things, which are quite cool. I like a lot of their breads, a lot of their there's food at Lawson that I would go there specifically to buy if it's there, because it's good. They have good bread and so on. But yes, so I would definitely probably put that to Family Mart. I never used to like, although I'm liking it more lately just because partly there's one near where I work and I'm finding myself going to it more often and liking it more. Although that said, again, I don't really go out of my way for it. It's really only Lawson and 7-Eleven I've got things that I go out of my way for. I used to have a Sunks near my old house, and I actually got quite into some of the food from Sunks, which isn't on the list. Daily Yamazaki is another convenience store chain. They have pretty good bread. They're owned by a bread making company, of course, so that always helps. But yes, I don't really know quite how they got up with this list. I would say probably 7-Eleven, Lawson, Family Mart, maybe they're up at Sunks, and 5 would be tough. Oh, pardon me. Itchy nose and a sneeze. It's the time of year, I guess. But yeah, anyway, I think they're trolling, but good on you because you got my attention, and it's a good topic talking about the best convenience stores and why. What are your favorite convenience stores? Do you agree with this list? Because I don't, and I'm outraged, and that's why I'm talking about it and promoting it. Damn you guys, you did it to me again. Some of these other ones are from last week, so I'm going to skip past those. Let's go to the beach again, gaijinpot.com, and again, this is talking about the best beaches to go to from some of the big cities. And I don't know what beach this particular photo is, but Okinawa, well indeed Okinawa has oceans like this actually. The coral makes the seas literally that color, that emerald, and they've got sands that are that white. Although what was interesting is that while they look lovely, they're actually the coral based sand is quite harsh. It's quite large grains and it's quite harsh on the feet actually, but lovely. And actually walking over some reefs there, some of the most beautiful reefs I've ever seen. So Okinawa is awesome, although it's practically an international trip, and it actually costs more to go to Okinawa and stay there than it does to go to Korea or Guam or Saipan or other places. But you know, it's pretty good, so fair enough. Shirahama, and by Shirahama, again, they should be careful with Shirahama because they're talking about Shirahama in Wakayama. Wakayama is indeed, it's kind of the Shonan of Osaka. It's where everyone goes to the beach. Shirahama itself is like, it means literally white sand beach. And every white sand beach in Japan is called Shirahama. There's a Shirahama in Shimoda. There's a Shirahama. There's like dozens of them. So it's very nondescript. Make sure you say Wakayama Shirahama. And the reason that they have a white sand beach there is because that sand that you can see there is imported all from Australia, which they don't mention there. It's a beautiful beach, but yes, it took a lot of effort. It took a couple of huge shiploads of sand to bring it there, and as a result, they've got a lovely big Australian beach there, and it's pretty good. I actually have stayed, now that we mention it, right in that tall hotel. I think we stayed in the tall hotel, right by the beach there. I stayed there, and my son's gone and played in the beach. That was pretty awesome. I stayed there, so I vouch for that. And that's it. They talk about Okinawa and Osaka, and they totally leave out, and I think this is called Japan's best beaches. No, it's not. Okay, it's just some suggestions. From Tokyo, if you want to go to some nice beaches near Tokyo on a day trip, Shonan is the easiest to get to. It kind of sucks. It's kind of crowded. It's got some rubbish and stuff like that, but it's okay. If you want to surf, it's got waves, but it's too crowded during summer. It's okay during winter, but the flows are quite dangerous and there's garbage in the water. You go to Chiba, good surfing, kind of crap beaches. It's not so much sand, it's more like mud out there, although if you go down as far south as Tateyama, you get beautiful beaches. Also, if you go up north to Ibaraki, they've got beautiful beaches, but the water is freezing cold. And if you want to go on a 2-hour train ride from Tokyo, go south to the Izu Prefecture to Shimoda, and go not to Shirahama in Shimoda, but go to Tatado and Ohama beaches. They're actually a kind of a gaijin getaway. A lot of expats have kind of batches or little holiday homes down there, and some of the best beaches I've seen in my entire life are down there. And indeed, I've already said before, some of the best beaches and best surfing I've done in my whole life was in Fukushima Prefecture, although I don't really recommend the beaches there now. Although Izu I definitely do. And even if you're worried about radiation and stuff like that, bear in mind that south of halfway up Chiba, the Kuroshio, the southern current comes up, so the water flows from the south up from there, so no worries about that stuff at all. That said, from north half of Chiba upwards, and the water flows down, so you want to be down the coast, so be a bit careful about that, I guess. Although I don't honestly, if you're a fully grown adult, that stuff doesn't really matter. It only matters with like small kids. And the beaches are awesome. Anyway, I totally recommend Izu. I think are the best beaches I've been to in Japan. Even better than Okinawa, actually, which is a big thing. It's a big call. Next ones are. I put a thing here about how Japanese police have now demanded that they call the law-evading drugs. Let me enlarge this because make this a bit easy to see. As kiken drugs rather than they used to call them dappo herb, which are law-evading herbs, which implies what they are, I believe, which is that they're not actually classified regulated drugs. They're drugs that have narcotic-like effects, but you know, oregano or whatever, and but you know, they're not strictly legislated. But of course, there have been a lot of incidents of people using these unregulated herbs and smoking them and ending up in hospital. And there's been a few incidents, so the police have started demanding that NHK call them, instead of calling them law-evading herbs, that they call them dangerous drugs, which I guess is very plain and straightforward, although it's kind of, and apparently they actually had like a competition. The Ministry of General Affairs had a competition with something like 6,000 entries. In fact, they mention it here. And like the winning entry was calling it, so here we go. The Health Ministry and the National Police Agency put out a contest for a new name, and the term kiken drug or unsafe drugs was chosen from 8,000 proposals. So you know, some little kid made a proposal and won to have law-evading herbs reclassified as dangerous drugs, or unsafe drugs. And now every day this week there's been stories about kiken drug, which is kind of, if you ask me, it's kind of confusing. I mean, again, it's not necessarily dangerous. I mean, this is a problem people don't know, I guess. So I guess there is that, but it implies that they're illegal when they're not. I mean, if you want to make it illegal, make it illegal. That's if you ask me. But anyway, I thought that was kind of silly, so I thought it was fun, and I put it on there. Tokyo, they're talking about creating casinos in Tokyo. I really wish that rather than you know, if you asked me 10 years ago about building casinos, I would say fine. I mean, we've got casinos in Auckland and most places, but you know, I don't really see what good really comes of casinos. I mean, I know that they do generate a lot of money from, let's face it, from gambling addicts. They don't really have much of a positive social influence. You know, and I know people who have been banned from casinos who have had real problems with addiction with it, and you hear stories about children being abandoned in parking lots, and I don't know. I mean, maybe it's age, though. I'm just thinking gambling isn't as cool as I used to think it is. And rather than legalizing casinos, how about banning pachinko? How about that? I mean, pachinko honestly serves no affirmative social purpose of any sort that I can think of. And it's kind of ironic. A lot of the people who are talking about banning pachinko because they don't like the Koreans who run it, they think they're going to get the Koreans by banning it, for the casinos, you know, like Ishihara, guys like that. I don't know. I mean, I guess they're all thinking, let's do it for the Olympics, and let's do it because Singapore does it and everyone else does it. Well, you know, Singapore does it, but they don't allow their own citizens to attend it. It's only for tourists. So, you know, which I suppose if they're on tourist visas, even if they're addicted, they have to leave eventually, and you don't have the social fallout from it. But you know that's not how it's going to work. And they're doing this for their own entertainment. It's the old guys in the LDP. They want to gamble. So I don't know. Sorry, I'm just watching the comments on the side, by the way. I see people talking about, indeed, is Abe smoking oregano? I ask that question myself all the time. I do. And I'm going to come back to these comments, actually. But, 危険ドラッグとか言い方やめてほしいですね。確かに。薬の成分の知識を国民学ばせる方がいい。うん、俺もそう思う。なんか、いや、単なる、ね、危険ドラッグとか危ないドラッグとか怖いドラッグとかってなんかね、あんまり意味がないとは思うけど。Okay, and actually there's lots of pretty cool comments here, so okay, I'm going to come back to these. I'm going to keep with the flow because we're doing well, so I'm going to come back over here and boom, let's go back to the comments. And the next story that I picked up, screw casinos, blood types, and it's kind of interesting because there's been another research study on blood types that has come up, because there's this kind of weird thing that although blood types are, and you ask anybody right thinking and they'll say, oh, of course, you know, it's silly, it's like horoscopes, you know, blood types aren't real. At the same time, there's an increasing trend, an increasing reported trend of people citing cases of blood type discrimination, of particularly B's and O's, and people getting a hard time because of their blood type or treated negatively. And there seems to be an increasing trend, and it's partly as the media pushes it. The media loves to do specials showing how, kids demonstrate certain tendencies associated with the personalities associated with each blood type. And there seems to be like a reinforcing of that culture, and people believe it now more than I think when I arrived in Japan. And it's kind of becoming serious. And so it's funny, they did the smart thing. They went to, Japan Psychological Association, apparently did some research apparently it was Kyoto Bunkyo University. A researcher did research on over 10,000 people in the United States, asking, basically, trying to find out if there was any alignment between the perceived qualities of different blood types and the way that these people did on these personality tests. And they came out and they found, with Americans, of course, who don't know about, the way the Japanese classify people by blood types, apparently, even when they put all these personality questions in, they found that the blood types explain less than 0.3% of total variance in personality. The blood types had, with a control group of people who are probably unaware of their own blood types and unaware of the stereotypes about blood types. There was no determinative effect or link that could be demonstrated at all between blood types and personality. That said, that doesn't necessarily invalidate it in the case of Japan, because in Japan you've got this thing, everyone is aware of their blood types and the stereotypes around it from such a young age that I still do believe it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy to some extent. People are defined, people become the way that people define them. That becomes part of their identity, their blood type. And I think this happens in Japan, even if there's no scientific basis for it. I think there's a cultural definition which does happen in Japan around it, so which makes it valid, even if there's no scientific, or rational underlying basis for it. But certainly it's interesting. It shows they did this test with Americans, and they find out it's all crap, But it's interesting because in Japan, I can tell you that it does actually still correlate, and that's where it's more interesting to see. So even if it's got no scientific basis, it still carries some weight in Japan, even though it shouldn't. Quick thing, last week there was a story actually about foreigners not being entitled to receive social welfare. I think a lot of people screaming this is discrimination because we pay taxes and all that sort of thing, although technically, given that we pay everyone pays taxes, including tourists, through sales tax and so on, that's not exactly the right basis. Although I don't know, I think and you know what, I mentioned this last week, I think, now that I recall. There was a lady, a Chinese woman in her 80s, who was born and raised in Japan and worked for her entire life in Japan. And when she went and applied for seikatsu hogo, which is basically life support, she was having trouble making ends meet, in Oita Prefecture, the local prefecture. The local prefectures do have the right to decide if they give social welfare or not and who they give it to. But they said on the basis that the national law doesn't entitle non-national citizens to welfare, they turned her down, and when they went to the Supreme Court, they upheld that that's what the legislation says. Is it racist? Well, maybe. I mean, some countries allow foreigners to collect welfare, and some countries do not allow foreign citizens to collect welfare. Of course, the complication here is that we're talking about a special classification, permanent resident, a Zainichi, who was born here, different to me, an immigrant who chose to come here and become a permanent resident. So I don't know, but in the end of the day, for me, Japan can choose what it likes. It can choose who it wants to allow to vote, whether it wants to allow foreigners to vote, or whether it wants to allow foreigners to collect welfare. There is a negative stereotype around Zainichis as being, again, of all the negative stereotypes associated with permanent residents from Korea, China, Taiwan, and so on, that haven't acquired Japanese citizenship. There's a perception that they're behind a lot of scams around welfare. It's probably proportionately, statistically, no different from the general population rate of doing it, but when it happens, it becomes big news because it fulfills these negative stereotypes and rumors that go around about them. And for me as well, this is just another reason, if you were a Zainichi, it used to be for a long time that they couldn't naturalize, and it wasn't fair. But nowadays, if you've lived here, if you're 80 years old and you've lived here your whole life, just naturalize. Why would you want to hold on to Chinese citizenship? And I'm guessing probably ROC rather than PRC, although I don't know. But this is a reason for those people, again, there's no real merit for them unless it's made impossible because they've got a criminal record or something like that. There's no reason for them not to, and it costs a little bit of money, I guess, and the lady doesn't have a lot of money, and it's a hassle and it takes time, but it is easier for Zainichi to get naturalized now than it is for other citizens. They have a streamlined process for it, and they should naturalize, if you ask me, and especially if they want social welfare, and anyone who wants social welfare, that migrates to a country, they should follow the rules. Don't complain about disentitlement after you get there. Is what I think, So getting on to the news that I was talking about earlier. So Masuzoe went over to Korea, and Abe's been trying forever, or at least he's been saying that the doors are open to meeting with the Korean president and to restart diplomacy with South Korea. And indeed, both are American allies. Both Japan's been willing to share intelligence and so on to support Korea if it's ever been attacked and so on. Also interesting as well that the far right doesn't like Masuzoe because Ishihara's guy, the guy that Ishihara endorsed, Tamogami, is more right-wing than him, even though he's ex-LDP. He's also, during the election, people raised he's got a history of gaffes and making sexist statements and so on, but he's also the former welfare minister, and he's shown, at least since he's been in office, he's got a good track record. He supports local foreign permanent residents like me being able to vote in local elections, which would be awesome. I mean, I'm not demanding the right to vote in Tokyo elections, but I would love to be allowed to vote. Tokyo, of course, is the most cosmopolitan prefecture in Japan. It has the most foreigners, it has the most Koreans, it has the most Chinese. In the ward that I live in, it's like 1 in 5 people, or some pretty high, 1 in 5 births. I think it's 1 in 20 foreigners, but it's a much higher rate. 1 in 5 births to international marriages, and he's aware of all that. He's done a lot of things in terms of with a welfare focus, with increasing childcare for children. He's as a governor, I'm pretty satisfied with him. He's reduced the cost and all the wasteful spending on the Olympics. Not all of it, but he's improving on it. Even suggested moving some parts of it to Chiba and to Fukushima, which is all very good. And so he suggested, as part of the Olympic preparation and building ties with Seoul, that he went over to Korea to meet with the mayor of Seoul, and he got invited to go meet with the Korean president, who has been, in spite of being a family friend of Abe, and it's probably that association actually, which is why she's been so harsh about not wanting to meet him, because everyone remember that her father was a Japanese military war criminal and dictator of Korea. She's not been meeting him, so instead, again, Abe's buddy, who Abe endorsed, Masuzoe, went over. He met with President Park and they talked. He was very friendly with her. He said that he condemns all hate speech, all racist protests, for example, as there have been a lot in Shin-Okubo in Shinjuku ward of Tokyo. He condemned that. A lot of Nichanners complained about that they said that, well, if he's condemning hate speech, what about condemning institutionalized Korean Japan bashing and anti-Japanese racism? And there have been incidents. There have been 2 incidents recently. There's a one-piece exhibition which had a single image with a single rising sun flag in the background that apparently somebody banned the exhibition as a result of that, and they actually sued in the Korean courts, and the Korean courts said, no, that's not a good enough reason to ban a thing. But this is the recent Japan bashing trend. One of them is to target the Asahi flag as an equivalent of the Nazi flag, which is complete bullshit, of course. The Nazi flag was an ideological flag associated with a specific political movement and racial superiority ideology. The Asahi symbol is a long-term national symbol of Japan that existed before and after the war. It's still used today on Japanese Navy and SDF ships and so on. It's a national symbol. It's not a political symbol. And I know that the Koreans are pretty sore that they were colonized and that they had a lot of bad things happen under that flag, and they don't like it. But that flag that they don't like is the Japan national flag. I mean, that was the military version of it. And again, they don't like the Japanese military, but that doesn't exist anymore. They get a bit hysterical about that stuff, but that was banned. And there was another incident where the Japanese embassy was arranging some sort of party in Seoul, and the Lotte Hotel had decided at the last minute that they just cancelled it because of something about the comfort woman or one of the disputes lately. Anyway, they cancelled it at the last minute, and just being dicks, basically. I mean, as usual. And they can't really see their own self-interest. I mean, Japan is reaching out and is trying to improve relations with South Korea, and they don't want it because of politics. It doesn't look good to be showing up to Japan. So it's very good that Masuzoe has been over there, but at the same time, I think he should be calling them out on their anti-Japanese BS. You know, at the same time, that'd be kind of nice, although at the same time, that wasn't the purpose of this visit. The purpose of this visit was going there and saying, hey, nice to see you, I'm going to be very nice to you, and why don't you go and meet Abe because he wants to meet you. And I hope it happens, actually, because even when they think Japan are being dicks and Korea looks like they're being anti-Japanese morons, at the same time, and both countries should get along. They should get along. And, you know, and so Masuzoe said a bunch of statements there. He said, oh, I condemn all hate speech, so all the right-wingers, of course. And I guess a lot of the hate speech supporters were Tamagami supporters as well. So they went and said, well, what about, you know, anti-Japanese comments by them? Why don't you condemn those, you sellout of the nation? And again, he said another statement that he thinks that 90% of residents of Tokyo like Korea. And again, a lot of people went on to Nicho and saying, how dare he, you know, misrepresent Japanese. But he's talking about Tokyo, and this is one thing that I've noticed. There's actually a hashtag campaign on Twitter at the moment to recall Masuzoe. And I've seen people who are promoting it, including a YouTuber, and they're promoting it, but they don't live in Tokyo. They can't vote in Tokyo. Well, they want to recall him. They couldn't vote for him in the first place. And you look at I looked at the hashtag and the emails which are promoting it. Or not the emails, the Twitter accounts which are promoting it, and it's Osaka such and such, or it's, you know, some of these people are obviously like not in Tokyo, but they want to recall the Tokyo governor. Worry about your own governor, jeez, you know. I mean, it's kind of funny. I mean, it's an important governorship, of course, but here's my view. I mean, there are people who say that foreigners like me should not be talking about Japanese politics, but yet they participate directly in the politics of Tokyo. And my question is, how is a person from Hokkaido trying to participate in Tokyo politics or any different from me talking about Japan politics? I mean, if you agree with the principle that outsiders should not talk about politics, then fine. I take your criticism about me talking about Japanese politics and your consistent and respect your consistent refraining from talking about Tokyo, but getting involved in Tokyo politics and complaining at the same time about foreigners. You are a foreigner, half of these people. So I find that kind of hypocritical and amusing. In any case, yeah, and truth is, most Koreans are cool. Most people who say they hate Koreans don't know Koreans. There are lots of Koreans in Tokyo. Come to Tokyo, meet some Koreans. We'll go and get some chijimi and some bulgogi in Okubo. It's great stuff. I know a great gamshatan restaurant. I have Zainichi friends. They're all normal, regular people just like us, and too much of this net bullshit. Yeah, you know. So I think it's a fair statement. 90% of people like Korea, even if they don't like Korea. The ones who say that they don't really understand. And vice versa, the same ridiculousn's in Korea as well. But all the BS on that side is not representative. You go over there and you know. But unfortunately, there's an increasing amount of static and propaganda from both sides, which I think is starting to have an effect and change the minds of people who otherwise would not be prejudiced by that kind of bile that goes out there. But unfortunately, it's out there, and the best thing to fix it is to have the government start getting along and being leaders for a change, and not just going with populist flows that say be nationalist dickheads to one another, if you ask me. So good on you, Masuzoe, for going there. Glad you're my governor. Okay. And I don't think that Osaka or Fukuoka or Hokkaido people can recall him anyway. I mentioned before about problems with Chinese food safety, Chinese food supply. And again, you know, this isn't just China bashing, although it's a great opportunity for China bashing, and that is happening. But, you know, China's got, well, Japan has its own food problems, of course. There was a Yuki Jurishi scandal and, you know, food quality. There was the, the mad cow disease in beef scandal a couple of years ago, and then they were switching the labels on the meat. Japan's got a shoddy, you know, food control management and safety all of its own. But, you know, but let's face it, when we're talking about China, we're talking about a completely different level of food safety, risk and danger. But yet food processing there is cheaper, and people do go over there because they want to source over there because it is cheaper, and they do that. And, you know, and then this happens, and they find out that they're using moldy and rotten meat and products, and they're putting mold into nuggets and stuff like that, and they get caught. And you know, McDonald's Japan has taken all of its nuggets off the menu. Family Mart, which I just mentioned, I regularly go to now. Fortunately, I don't eat their fried chicken products, because their fried chicken products were being sourced from this factory in China that was creating really, really, you know, unsafe, horrible food, and they got caught. And, you know, everyone's cutting them off. And And again, when this happened, so McDonald's just completely cut McNuggets off the menu in Japan, at least for now, and they're going to figure out what to do about it. Family Mart, everyone was kind of saying, see, this is why you should use Japanese suppliers. And it's not just to say that the nationality would fix it per se, but at least if it's in Japan and they do something like this, you can hold them accountable for it. In China, it's kind of they're far away, they're hard to control. But Family Mart obviously is still aware of keeping costs under control, and they said, we're going to find a Japanese supplier that we could trust. And Nichan, the comments on that statement were berserk, saying, you're not even reflecting on what you've done wrong about this, implying that they were wrong to go to China in the first place. I'm not sure that's quite right. But yes, I've got a couple of other stories, but I'm also running out of time, so I'm just going to skip ahead. The top 5 Conbini countdown indeed talked about that. A newscast hilariously told everybody that if there's a power blackout, but you need to keep cool in the heat, use an electric fan. Which the newsreader next to him was saying, I think you mean like a hand fan, not an electric fan. He used senpuki, which is a term for an electric fan. Yes, he used to be a pro wrestling commentator. He's possibly dropped on his head a little bit. It's kind of funny. Oh, and there's 2 more. Okay, yeah, these are all really interesting on the last page. I'll go through an order. First one is the Hague Convention on parental child abduction. You wonder, how can a parent abduct their own child? But it can happen in a custody dispute where both parents are competing for custody of the child. Or normally the father is trying to get rights to the child. Sometimes it's not uncommon in international disputes that a parent will take the child to another country and get a more favorable order. Like they know that if they go to this country, that the father or the mother, the other spouse, won't be able to get access to the child. And Japan has always been a haven for Japanese citizens. That particularly the mothers, if they bring their children home to Japan, Japan doesn't have a very developed family law system here, and typically kids can. Yes, I will, Victor. They typically will. Yes. That they will get a ruling in their favor, and this is what's always happened. And it means that there are cases where where men have had access rights to children, or when there's been kind of acrimonious breakups, and it's more often than not men, but it's also women as well, who will go and yes. Victor's mailing me like 3 times about t-shirt. I'll mention the t-shirts. But yeah, they bring them back over here, and they can't be accessed anymore, and it means that you lose your child if they come back to Japan. You got no access to them. And so at least now that Japan signed up to the Hague Convention, there's a mechanism which says that if a parent tries to gain an unfair advantage by basically taking their child out of the jurisdiction to another jurisdiction for a more favorable finding, countries that are both in the Hague Convention will give an order to return the child to the original country so that a fair determination of custody can be given. So basically parents can't take advantage by kidnapping their own child to get advantage in a custody dispute. So the first overseas order relating to forcing a child to come back to Japan was issued today in Britain. And it's interesting, it was probably a good case for showing how it would work, because it was 2 Japanese parents. It wasn't an international marriage, but it was one where in the midst of a child dispute, the mother took the child to the UK. And basically the father in Japan put a Hague Convention request in, and the court filed with the British family court an order which the British family court recognized, an order demanding that the child be returned to Japan. Apparently the wife in the case intended to come back to Japan anyway. It was just a temporary trip to the UK. So she's saying it was all kind of pointless anyway, but yes, it's the first case of having a Japanese, and it was a non-international marriage thing, so it was a good thing. And this is actually a topic I could talk about a lot more. The news story covering it on the NHK, which is on the link here, which you can watch in Japanese, it does get into the ugly thing that everyone says, well, what if it's an abusive marriage, which is putting a pretty ugly taint on the parent from whom the child was taken without illegally. And who you should probably look at, as well as the child, as being a victim of this sort of thing, and turning around and accusing them, with the presumption that they've carried out domestic violence or something like that, which the Hague Convention does prohibit orders, in those sort of cases. But it's good to see that the convention is there and it's working, and it means that if you're in an international marriage with children involving Japan, that there's another protection there should the worst happen, which unfortunately does happen in more than 50% of cases now in international marriages involving Japanese. 2 other really, really interesting stories. Well, one is that in fact, who said this? Yeah, some of the weekly magazines are talking about with the collective defense, with Japan agreeing to support the defense of its allies in emergencies and non-combat situations and very limited situations, that they'd help out America. A lot of people are taking this as a step towards conscription and participation in wars and Japanese dying. I mean, the left is getting pretty hysterical about it. And there's a news story from a weekly magazine saying that a lot of left-wing people are now giving their children extra English lessons, and they're preparing passports to be able to send their children overseas, which is a bit of a hysterical overreaction to it. I don't, just because of the collective defense reinterpretation, that doesn't mean that Japanese are going to go into wars, and it doesn't. And in any case, joining the SDF is still voluntary. So there's two steps. One, they'd still have to interpret further to allow participation in combat, and they'd have to bring in conscription. These things do exist in South Korea and in Taiwan, and and those countries have massive immigration to Canada, New Zealand, Australia, specifically to get out of having to fight in wars or to be conscripted. But it's not an issue in Japan, and if they're already preparing to educate their kids to send them overseas, to get them away from conscription when it doesn't exist here yet, it's a little bit of an overreaction. But there again, yeah, of course, I mean, it could happen, and people talk about it, and I do have a fear that, the aging population might want to reintroduce conscription for young kids, which hasn't happened since the 1940s. So I don't know why the people who are old now would have nostalgia for something which they never had to go through themselves. But there is a risk of that. But that's not happening anyway, so it's a hyper-reaction if you ask me, but I thought it was interesting. And the final one is that there's a good story in The Economist talking about why Japanese are having fewer babies. Comes to the conclusion in the end that nothing's going to work and they need immigration, which, well, if they want to fix it, yeah. But I think Japan is just going to give up on it. But they go through all the reasons why, all the bad ideas, including some local government people suggesting like deliberately sabotaging contraception that's being sold and whatnot. Crazy stuff. But it's a very good article from The Economist in that magazine, so go and check that out. I talked about that stuff for way too much. I am going to come back and do one last read of the comments. I'm going to mention one other thing before I finish on this, by the way, which is that the t-shirts, 2.5 Oyajis t-shirts that Victor has been promoting, and again, I've got to put the links under here, which I will do. But we're almost sold the black one, which is the one I guess that we should sell. In fact, you know what? It's actually in this magazine, so I'm going to go back and get the link from here. I'm going to put it under the video now. So where are we up to here? The white faces one. This shirt, we are up to 27 out of 29, so 2 more shirts and it goes into production. It's a pretty good price. It's $19. It's a really cool design shirt, and there have been some awesome designs coming out. I'm going to put the link under the video right now. So let me just come over here and edit, which you can't see because I'm just doing this at the moment, but help get this cool 2.5 Oyajis shirt made by ordering this to get us over the 29th shirt production threshold. Boom, boom. And I'm going to save that. And I think that's saved. I'm going to go back. Pause. So now in the video information, if you refresh the page in the video information, there is actually the link to this page that you're looking at right now. So go and check that out. It's doing pretty well. It's doing pretty well. Only two more, and they actually go up. I ordered a couple. I really want it myself. So help us out. Help an Oyaji out and do that. I'm going to leave that up there and just go through I'm going to zip through the last comments. Oh, wow, and there are a lot of comments. And in fact, you know what? I didn't even get through. So here's just what I'm looking at right now. I'm going to zip through these, so I'm sure there's a gap with them, but I'm going to race through them because I'm out of time, and then I'm going to come out. So apparently December Clouds wants buffalo wings. You asked blood type at Gokon parties. I used to get that as well, and that's right. It's good to know. It's a useful tool for socializing and matchmaking in Japan. We're talking here blood types, deport. That's right. 51 people, only 16 thumbs up. I'm being used. Thank you, Victor. And yes, see, I mentioned the shirt, so that's all good as well. That's right, keep pics in a separate folder. That's right, talking about likes. That's good. Rising sun flag, military flag of Japan. It dates back to Edo period. Was adopted as national flag. Oh, Victor has researched the flag thing, so that's cool. Victor, don't say that. Don't say that. Victor's there indeed. Yeah, actually, Random Yoko just released a book on patriotism, Japanese patriotism. It's pretty cool. Go and check out her Twitter feed. I mean, you know, I guiltily admit I've looked at it every now and then just to scare myself. And you know, no, she published a book, and it seems to be doing well. If you want to, I don't think it's in English, but credit to her, she's doing well. So yeah, there's power to her. But she's obviously she's one of those. Yes, so she was saying get rid of Masuzoe, even though she doesn't live in Tokyo. So it's like Oyajis. It's like me talking about Japanese politics, which I know she doesn't like. So yeah. Hypocrite. That's all I can say about that. Dennis Leary, indeed, like Dennis Leary. To is Bill Hicks. That's okay. TQ Slam's Carrot Top. Victor's trolling. That's right. You do that. And now we're talking about the shirt. And okay, I'm just going to go all the way to the end because that's what the Shudajiki JK equals sensor. That's right. Heiki toka no tanjun sugiru. So that's right. Exactly. Contensai. That's exactly the point. These people who think that collective security equals war, which, you know, it's a bit of there's a few logical steps missing, although it's a step on that path, and that's what they're afraid of. It's been a good show. I'm going to put this back. I'm going to put the shirt back on the thing. Yes, check out have we sold any more? No, we haven't sold any more yet, although let me just refresh the page. But please help us out, help us get to the target. It's an awesome shirt. Pick your sizes, and it'll be pretty good. And I'll see you on Wednesday on 2.5 Oyajis, where I will hopefully get a guest, and I'll see you guys later. I'm going to be in Kumamoto actually next weekend, so probably next weekend. I'm not sure. I probably won't be doing a show, but I'll do an update on that because it'll be awesome, and I'll see you guys later. 1 hour 1 minute. Yeah, peace.